that led the charge to try to remove short-barreled firearms and suppressors from the NFA. So we got hung up in the Senate with the Senate parliamentarian ruling against us on reconciliation, but we got the tax reduced to zero. So instead of paying a $200 tax, now suppressors, $0. Short-barrel firearms, $0. So, but that wasn't good enough for us. And we kind of felt betrayed by what happened in the Senate. So we filed a lawsuit in the Northern District of Texas to challenge the NFA itself for short-barrel firearms and for suppressors.
On the Range podcast with Rick Hogg and Mark Kelley.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Range podcast with Warhawk Tactical and Kelley Defense. I am Mark Kelley from KelleyDefense.com, and joined with me, as always, is my co-host and friend, Rick Hogg from Warhawk.com. How's it going, pal?
Man, Mark, it's going great. Big shout out to Recoil Magazine. We're out here at CanCon 2025 in South Carolina. We got a fantastic guest today. We got Val from Gun Owners of America. Going to talk about all the things they're into. So, Val, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How's the show going for you so far?
Well, so far so good. We got set up today, and I guess there's a VIP shoot that's going to happen this afternoon.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of vendors stopping by the booth just to check us out and to see what we're doing. And we tell them what's been happening at GOA.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself so we can let the viewers and listeners know exactly who we're talking with.
Absolutely. So I'm Val Finnell. I'm the Pennsylvania Director for Gun Owners of America. I've been with GOA since 2019. I'm a retired Air Force colonel. I retired in 2016. Medical doctor, pathologist, and preventive medicine and public health were my specialties.
Wow.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Makes me feel like a loser now.
I'm also a firearms instructor, USCCA instructor.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So just to help out the viewers, listeners, what's Gun Owners of America what's your mission set? What are you guys doing?
Right. So Gun Owners of America is the only nationwide no compromise gun lobby. Ron Paul said that about us years ago. We have over 2 million members and supporters.
Wow.
We're very active in Congress and also state operations. We have a really vibrant and growing state operations program. So I'm the Pennsylvania director full-time. So I just handle what happens in Harrisburg and across Pennsylvania. We have other state programs in states like Florida and Texas. We're involved in Ohio and Michigan, out in Arizona, all over the country, really. We have regional directors, and we also have state directors.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys dabble in any of the fine states, let's say like California, New York, Massachusetts?
It's funny you should mention that. So we actually have a dedicated organization in California.
Okay.
Really?
It is with GOA, but it's called Gun Owners of California.
Okay.
So Gun Owners of California is our California branch. So we were closely right from the start because our founder at GOA, his name was Senator H.L. Richardson. He was the state senator from California. So we actually got started in California.
Okay.
So GOC is our operation in California, and it's a dedicated operation.
So what's your daily focus? Like, what are you doing most day-to-day than anything else? I mean, we're not doing huge cases with the Supreme Court every day.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing?
Right. So if you nationally, and what's relevant for this event right here at CanCon is GOA was the organization short-barreled firearms and suppressors from the NFA. So we got hung up in the Senate with the Senate parliamentarian ruling against us on reconciliation, but we got the tax reduced to zero. So instead of paying a $200 tax, now suppressors, $0. Short-barrel firearms, $0. So, but that wasn't good enough for us. And we kind of felt betrayed by what happened in the Senate. So we filed a lawsuit in the Northern District of Texas to challenge the NFA itself for short-barrel firearms and for suppressors. I believe the NFA is unconstitutional. And because it's a tax, there's really no point now because it's $0. There's no tax.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going after the ATF right now to take SBRs and suppressors completely off the NFA.
Wow.
But there's still that mother may I to ATF, right? Even though there's no tax,
Correct. Yep.
We still have to do the Form 4 go.
That's
may
right.
I have permission to own said item?
That's exactly right. So as of January, the tax goes to zero, but you'll still have to do the Form 4.
Mm-hmm. And what are we expecting? Any speculation as far as we brought the delays way down, so we're going from a year plus down to days.
That's right.
Are we seeing or projecting a spike come January in those times to get I don't even know, what are we calling it? Approval? What's
processing?
Yes,
I don't know.
I guess it'd still be approval and processing, but I can only surmise. I can only make an educated guess, but I would expect we will see a spike in suppressor sales, SBRs, because the tax is zero, even though you still have to jump through all the hoops.
Yeah. But do you think that time will? Do we think we're ever going to go back to those year waits to get approval, or we still kind of think we're streamlined to a point where they should go, yep, check, off
So
you go.
I hope so, and if we do experience delays, we're gonna be all over that. So if there's a delay, GOA is not going to tolerate that. Just like when there was the government shutdown, during the shutdown, they stopped processing Form 4s.
That's right.
We pushed the Trump administration to bring that back online.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue to watch that. If there's excessive delays, look, we honestly believe a right delayed is a right denied. So the whole fact that you have to file a Form 4 is a violation of a constitutional right. But if they're going to delay anything, then obviously we're going to be all over that for sure. Now, me personally, my day-to-day is I don't work in the federal office. I work in Harrisburg in Pennsylvania. So every day for me is we have a full-time legislature in Pennsylvania, so I watch the bills that come up every day in the legislature. We track the bills. We send out alerts on pro-gun legislation, anti-gun legislation. We just defeated 4 out of 5 anti-gun bills on the House floor in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, one, the universal background check bill, which we call universal registration checks, went over the Senate. We'll stop it there. We're also trying to strengthen our firearms preemption laws in Pennsylvania. So we watch it every day. We have a scorecard on all of our legislators. We grade all the legislators. We also have a state-level super PAC, an independent expenditure committee where we get involved in elections. And next year, after what's happened here in 2025 in the fall, next year is going to be a seminal year for us for elections in 2026 in Pennsylvania and other states. So we got to be very vigilant and get gun owners involved. That's what we need to do.
You said something very interesting that I think a lot of folks may need a little more explanation. For example, you remove the tax and you do these other things. They're not just to save folks a couple of bucks. There's some reasons why you do it, because if it's not a taxable item, other things they can and cannot do. Can you explain that a little bit and why that's important?
Right. So there was the NFA was passed in 1934 as it's a tax, right? So it's a $200 and you get a tax stamp, right? So if there's a $0 value on that tax, and this is a tax act,
right?
So it's like now if there's no taxation benefit to the government whatsoever with $0. So now it's ripe to say there's no point to have these items on the NFA because there is no tax. And when we tried to push it through Congress, we got held up in the Senate on reconciliation. Even though the NFA is the tax, the Senate parliamentarian ruled that it was out of order, so we couldn't remove them entirely. So the only way to get that passed, was to have 60 votes in the Senate, which was very difficult to get, obviously. So it went to zero tax, and now because it's at zero tax, there's no reason for it to be on the NFA, so then we sued the government to remove it from the NFA. Right.
And how's that moving forward?
Well, it's early stages now, so it's still at the district court level, and I haven't heard any recent updates on it.
Okay.
Where can folks, how do they get to look for their local organization that, like yours in Pennsylvania? How do they do that?
Right. So the best way is to go on gunowners.org. That's our website. And we have all of our federal alerts there, and we also have all of our state alerts on there. And you can see our alerts for Pennsylvania. And then some states, like Pennsylvania, have a dedicated website. So in Pennsylvania, it's pennsylvania.gunowners.org, right? So you would go to that website. So the best way for everybody, since a lot of people are going to be watching this all over the country, is just go to the main website, gunowners.org. And if you sign up for the email list there, it's free. Just type your name. Make sure you put your zip code in, or otherwise we're not going to know where you're at. So just say your name, and put your name and your email address and your zip code, and you'll be localized. So you'll get state alerts for your state, and also what's going on at the federal level with GOA.
Okay. And then here's one for the regular citizen that's looking to make contact either at the state or federal level. Do you recommend email, phone call, snail mail? What's your best way to interact with these individuals and let them know what your intentions?
So we say all of the above. Okay. So at GOA, we make it easy for everybody. When you get an alert from us, all you have to do is type your information in it'll automatically load an email up and send it to your elected officials, whether at the state or the local level.
Wow.
So that makes email, and it's personalized, and so it goes right out. But, when things are happening quickly and we want to get extra pressure, phone calls are always great. You pick up the phone. We can make the phone ring in a state rep's office or a state senator
That's
or
awesome.
congressman's office
I love
off
that.
the hook, and they just keep. So, and it's always best to contact your own congressman and if you call outside the district,
Yeah.
if you're out, they tend not to listen, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's great about our system. When we send that email alert out, it localizes you to your own district. You're a constituent. They're getting constituent mail on email. But to make it stronger, absolutely, you can write a letter. To make it even stronger, make a phone call. Sure.
Yeah.
And then when I'm making that phone call, because my understanding, my dealings with these politicians is you've got a snuffy, for lack of better terms, answering the phone. If you want to move up the food chain a little bit, hey, if I actually want to speak to my representative, then I get to speak to their scheduler. So if you don't know some of the terms and you're just talking to the snuffy on the phone, there's just the receptionist, secretary, whatever you want to call it. Do you guys have any recommendations on the verbiage we need to use for that?
So if something's critical, right, if there's a vote that's coming up quickly, even if you make that phone call into the office and the secretary answers the phone, they're keeping score on all the phone calls that come in. They're watching that. If you have time, it's always good to try to schedule a meeting with your state rep, your state senator, congressman. If you have time, if you can do that, and they're in the district. I know congressmen are in D.C. a lot.
Right.
But always make a personal appointment if you can and get in front of them face to face or their legislative staff. That would be the other thing. And some states have big staffs. Some people, like Pennsylvania, has a humongous staff, but other states don't. Like if you live in New Hampshire, they really don't have a staff, right?
Yeah.
But some states do. So the person to talk to at that office, if you can't get the appointment right with your elected official, is like the legislative director, and that's the person who watches legislation for the elected official.
Okay, so the legislative director,
Yeah.
have a conversation with them.
Absolutely.
And then if we want that meeting, the scheduler. So it
Yep.
just depends on how much flexibility the individual has.
That's right, and it's different in every state. Some states have schedulers. Some states, like I said, they don't have a lot of staff.
Yeah.
Some state reps in Pennsylvania just have one person that answers the phone, and it's the same person you talked about. And they do the scheduling. So
Yep.
so the key thing is you're a constituent and you're calling in, and if you have time, make that appointment. And
Okay.
and obviously you're going to do it in your district office, because when
Sure.
they're not in Harrisburg or if they're not in D.C. or whatever your state capital is, they're going to be at home.
Yeah.
So then that's where you make that appointment. Meet with them in person if you can.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's the next thing coming up nationally that we can talk about besides the tax stuff that's still going through?
Right. So the next big push, I think we really, and President Trump promised that he would sign it, is H.R. 38, which is the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act.
Okay,
Now, you've all
that's
heard
right.
of this, right? And it's, each state now shall issue after Bruin, even though we have resistance from New York and Maryland and other anti-gun states, right? But the problem is that your concealed carry permit, if your state has one, if your constitutional carry, it's different. It should not stop at the state line. Your constitutional rights do not stop at the state line. So, my Pennsylvania license to carry firearms, if I go up to New York, it should be honored up there, and it's not. So H.R. 38 fixes that. It will require all the states to recognize, just like your driver's license, recognize your license to carry, your concealed handgun permit. If you come from a constitutional carry state, which are 29 constitutional
Wow.
carry states now, then it would be automatically recognized there as well. That's
Yeah.
why it's called the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. We really need to push on that on the House side. And if you go to the GOA website, you can see the alerts on that, and you can fill out the form and send a message to your congressman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to get that done, man. That's ridiculous.
Now, one thing, I'll use the state of North Carolina. I'm not sure how it is up in Pennsylvania, but like for North Carolina, having your concealed carry expedites doing a firearm purchase. Is that something GOA recommends? What's kind of, your guidance on that one?
Yeah, so that doesn't apply in Pennsylvania. And
Okay.
it does in North Carolina. I believe it applies here in South Carolina, too. We honestly believe that any background check, or especially the instant check system we have now, is a violation of constitutional rights, because we're asking government permission to exercise a
Exactly.
constitutional right. That's the problem. For convenience, Yeah, it's great. You could show your North Carolina, your South Carolina. Obviously, it's for the individual, it's convenient.
Yeah.
But the real problem is the instant check system. It's always a threat. So there's efforts in Pennsylvania to make the instant check system. We're a point of contact state, so everything goes through our state police. All of our handgun transactions, we don't have private handgun sales. Now they want to make universal background checks on long gun sales, and they want to make mandatory electronic system for the background check. So now you have all the components in place for a registry.
100%.
Right,
Well,
and this is the danger of it. So now you have, and all they have to do is flip the switch, record the serial numbers, and they have a registry. And we all know what happens after registration.
Yeah.
And North Carolina's in that same boat because you have to, without your concealed carry permit, you have to go to the sheriff's office, which is old Jim Crow laws.
Absolutely.
You have to get your pistol purchase permit. So, and then, of course, the General Assembly tried to repeal it, and old Coop, our last governor, vetoed it, right? So, you want to keep Jim Crow laws in the books. It's just, it's amazing what's going on out there when you look at some of these politics out there and the restrictions they're trying to put on the gun owners. So, sign up for those newsletters, guys. I mean, that's the biggest way to know. And we say it over and over again. You've got to be proactive. You just sitting back at the house complaining to your buddy does nothing to move the needle for the gun owners.
Yeah. That's right. You got to send that email. You got to make that phone call. You got to volunteer. If it's election season, if you have a good candidate, volunteer for that candidate. Knock on doors for that candidate. Do what you can for that candidate. Make a donation if you're financially able to that candidate. So if somebody is elected that you don't want, we always say here's the problem. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Because not you collectively, is we're all responsible for the people that get elected to office. We can't sit back, like you said, and expect somebody else to do the fighting for us. And this is what's great about GOA. GOA empowers individual members to take action for their own constitutional rights.
Yeah.
That's what's different.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's that website again?
Gunowners.org.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, go check that out, everyone. And thank you for making this part of your day. If you like this content, check out the crew at ontherangepodcast.com because the show continues for the crew members over on the website, Rick.
For the rest of you guys, be an athlete, be dangerous, and we'll see you on the range.